Performance appraisal is the topic of this session. Performance evaluation has two terms. First one is performance. The second one is evaluation. In performance mean employee contribution to the success of the organization. Then evaluation mean valuing or worthing. Then performance evaluation simply can be defined as valuing employee contribution to the organizational success. Valuing employee contribution to the company success. These are the learning outcomes. Understand the term of performance evaluation. Then understand the importance of performance evaluation. The third one, understand the policies relating to performance evaluations. Fourth one, understand the criteria of performance evaluation. The last one, understand the errors of performance evaluation. Then before going to talk about performance evaluation, we have to get the idea about the overall employee behavior within the company. Then when we are concerning the organization, we can find the workforce behavior in different manner. In a very excellent behavior present the very success of the organization. Then the first situation, contribution of all workers are excellent. All workers, we assume 100 workers, all 100 workers' performance are excellent. Then opposite side of this situation, all of the workers' contribution toward the organization remain as very poor level. Contribution of all workers relatively poor. Then here poor, then here excellent. However, the reality is there are different workers in between poor grade and the excellent grade. Then some employees are excellent, some employees are poor, then there are different employees in between excellence and the poor. Therefore, the real nature of the company's second one, contribution of all workers are presented with combination of poor, good and excellent contributions. Then this situation can be explained again using a picture. Then this is the picture. Here I use two criteria. One is performance, other one is behavior. Then performance measured as poor, good and great. Behavior also measured as poor, good and the great. Then first situation, all the employees in the company presenting great performance as well as great behavior. All workers of the company presenting excellence of both performance and the behavior. Then the success of the organization is very high. We assume 100 workers are there, then all the workers' performance are excellent and the behavior also excellent. The second situation, in this company, all the workers representing the middle of the performance and the middle of the behavior, then good performance as well as good behavior. In the third situation, the performance and the behavior both remain as very poor level of all employees contribution toward the organization remain very poor because performance poor, behavior also poor. Then there are three situations. In addition to these three, in another situation, the behavior of the workers are great, but the performance very poor performance. Then other one, the performance is excellence, great, high, but the behavior is poor. Then there are five situations. But the reality of the organization is this one. Then several workers presented excellence performance as well as behavior. In this context, several workers presenting bad behavior as well as bad performance, poor behavior and poor performance. Then some workers are in the middle of the road. Performance good, behavior also good. Then in this context, some employee presenting great performance but poor behavior. And some employee have good behavior but poor performance. Then what is the role of the human resource management? The role is try to develop the performance level of the employee who has good behavior, great behavior. Then try to enhance the great behavior of the worker who has great performance. Then the workers who having good performance and good behavior, try to increase their performance level as well as behavior level. Then poor workers, the company HRM try to increase the poor employee performance as well as behavior into the good situation. Good situation means great performance as well as great behavior. Then we will see the performance evaluation. What is the meaning of performance evaluation? Definition. Then first definition of performance evaluation highlight, measure the employee contributions toward the organization. Then performance main activity of performance evaluation is measuring the employee real contribution toward the organization. The second definition, the same thing, explained in different way. It is a formal procedure, formal system. The system leading to measure employees' work and results based on their job responsibilities. Then through the performance evaluation, company management try to measure the employee work, and based on the measurement of work, then they try to get what is the results of the employee. Then the third and the last definition. This definition explains performance evaluation is the process. Process means there are sequences of steps, several steps. These steps lead into evaluation, assessing. What evaluate? What assess? How effectively employees are fulfilling their job responsibilities. How effectively employees are fulfilling their job responsibilities. Then again, this process search what is the contribution to the accomplishment of the organizational goal. What is the contribution of the employee to accomplishment of the organizational goal? That is the performance evaluation. Very simply, performance evaluation is periodically we are measure whether the worker achieve the expected level, whether the worker achieve the expected level or not. What is the level of the worker? Then we will see what is the expected level and actual level of employee. We assume here 100% mean 100 unit. 100 unit. 100 units. Then company expecting 100 units from the worker. That is the company standard. That is the company expectations. Then end of the period, company need to the actual performance. What is the actual performance? 100 unit. But according to here, I explain, then there are different type of workers. Some are achieving 100, some are achieving less than 100, some are achieving greater than 100. Therefore, we can find different three situations. First one, 100 units and the worker actual performance also 100. Then 100 unit expected, but the actual is 75. Then there is a gap. The third situation, expected performance 100 unit, but actual performance 125. Then here, this area explain the outstanding workers. Company standard is 100, but the worker real actual performance greater than 100. The amount explain the outstanding workers. However, there is a gap. Then we are expecting 100, but the actual 75. There is a gap. There is a gap. There are two reasons for this gap. There are two reasons for this gap. One may be lack of competencies. Other may be lack of motivation. Lack of motivation. Lack of motivation. Other is lack of skills. Lack of skills. Then we can find whether the worker skill is enough to achieve the company standard or not. If it is not, then we can develop the work. Okay, then we will see the importance of the performance evaluation. Why company spending money and time to do the performance evaluation. In future, as an executive or top of the person in the company, you also have to evaluate your subordinator's performance. Then why you are evaluating subordinator's performance? These are the few benefits or importance of performance evaluation. First one, to determine the rewards, then or incentives. Then company have different motivational system, package, scheme, the rewards, rewarding or incentives. Then these rewards or incentives should be based on the performance of the employee, because the performance is important to achieve the organizational success. Therefore, under the performance evaluation, we are measuring the employee performance level to determine his or her incentive, increment, reward, bonus, or other reward scheme. Performance evaluation results can be used to find the level of employee contribution to the organizational success. Then, considering their contribution, management can decide the reward for each worker. Then here the worker is excellent, therefore the reward is more reward. Then this worker's performance is very poor, therefore the worker rewards is determined considering his or her poor performance. Then one important factor of doing performance evaluation is to determine reward or incentives for the workers. Then second importance. The second important thing is to determine the disciplinary action. Disciplinary actions. Then as a worker at the company, there may be a malbehavior. When there is a malbehavior, we have to give a punishment, penalty. Then penalty for the misconduct of employees are determined considering the past performance. For the example, we assume these two guys are in the same office, same category, same position. Then this worker is excellent and this one is not excellent, poor worker. Then both doing the same misconduct. Then when we are deciding, when we are going to determine the penalty for the worker, the same category, same misbehavior, but we consider the performance. We are considering the employee performance. We are giving less penalty for the excellent worker rather than the poor worker. Poor worker has serious penalty, significant penalty than the good worker because of the performance evaluation. Performance. Then third important thing, at the beginning I explained why company doing performance evaluation to identify the performance gap. Identify the performance gap. Then through identifying employee performance gap, we can prepare training program to upgrade the worker, develop the worker. Then through development of worker, developing worker, we can obtain the maximum contribution of the worker. Therefore, performance evaluation results are important to determine performance gap. Then how do you know this training needs. The gap is the training need. Here the actual performance, required performance, in between actual and required, there is a gap. There is a gap. The next importance, to determine the productivity of the employees as well as organization. Then sometimes some organization have more employees, but their overall contribution remain very low level. For the example, many organizations in the government sector, they have more workers, but the outcome is very less. Then productivity. Productivity can be measured through the real performance level of employee. The next important is performance evaluation. Explain the expected outcome of the employee. Expected outcome of the employee. For the example, now you are at the second year. Then already you have first year results. Then if you need, then your first year results indicate your level. Indicate your level, whether you are excellent student, outstanding student, or whether you are good student or poor student. Or sometimes you can imagine whether I can get a degree or not, considering your first year, second year results. Why we are giving results? Then results reveal your situation, capacity, and you can imagine what is the gap I have to go, I have to complete. Then PE explain the expected outcome. Then the last important thing I mention here, it lead overall employee satisfaction. Then evaluation of performance leading to employee satisfaction. Then there are another importance for the performance evaluation, but I here explain only 6 important factors.
In general, performance management activities may be used for administrative or developmental purposes. The first purpose is administrative in nature because it directly affects a firm's administrative decisions regarding its workforce. Firms use performance evaluations to make decisions regarding their employees' salary adjustments, merit raises, and incentive rewards. For example, how do you know how much a raise to give to an employee? For many companies, this decision is based on the performance evaluation itself. Managers must make decisions regarding the promotions, demotions, transfers, and terminations of individuals. On what basis are these decisions made? Understanding your employees' current performance, as well as their potential to perform, will help you make decisions about the movement of employees within or out of your organization. Managers also use performance evaluation data for disciplinary purposes, that is, to reinforce the attitudes and behaviors employees should display on a daily basis. The second purpose of performance management is developmental in nature, using performance evaluation information to help employees improve their performance in order to add more value to the organization. Thus, performance evaluations serve a vital role in terms of identifying employees' training needs. As an example, even if employees are not performing at a satisfactory level, a developmental emphasis strives to find out where there are areas in which the employee is able to improve their performance and then identify a course of action to help employees meet their potential. A developmental approach may also involve disciplinary actions to signal to employees that current actions or behavior may not be acceptable. A developmental approach can also be part of succession planning or just employee career development in general. When you understand how to use performance evaluations for different administrative and developmental purposes, you can start to think about how to better manage the performance of all of your employees.
Okay, I think you have idea about the purpose of doing performance evaluation by the company. There are different purposes concerning different purposes. company do the performance evaluation. Then policies of performance evaluation. When we are going to evaluate employee performance, especially when we are going to design a performance evaluation system, then we have to think those policies. When concerning company use performance evaluation practices for all workers in certain cases. However, some company use performance evaluation system for several category of the employee. For example, company can do performance evaluation only for permanent employees or managerial employees or non-managerial employees or casual employee. Likewise, company can consider what type of employees are considered to do the performance evaluation. Most of the time, companies use performance evaluation system for all employees. However, when we are going to introduce performance system as a new system, then sometimes it is not good to introduce new system for all employees. Therefore, we have to introduce new system step by step. That is good. Then policy 1, on whom should PE be done? Then second policy, when should PE be done? When? There are two main approach. One is fixed time approach. Fixed time approach means all employees' performance are evaluated within a certain period of time. For example, end of the year. Then all workers' performance evaluate at December. That is fixed time approach. The second approach, arbitrary day approach. An arbitrary day approach means employee performance are evaluated at different days. For the example, appointment date. For the example, we assume A, appointment date is 1st January. Then B, appointment day is 1st April. C, appointment date is 1st September. Then every year, January 1st, evaluate the A performance. Then every year, 1st of April, evaluate the B employee performance. Then every year, C performance evaluate 1st of September. That is the arbitrary day approach. Then third policy. The third policy, who should do PE evaluation? Who is the person going to evaluate the employee performance? Then there are several people we can find to evaluate the employee performance. Most common one is the immediate superior, immediate boss. Then second one, immediate superior plus his or her immediate superior. Immediate boss plus boss of immediate boss. There are two parties. Then third one, several superiors. This is a committee approach. Then as a committee, 2-3 people evaluate employee performance. Then we can use to evaluate outside expert. For the example, then your performance can measure from outside lecturer, outsider. Then performance can be evaluated through or using peers, same workers, same category, the workers in same category, peers. Then other one is subordinators. Then if you are the manager, your performance can be reviewed from your subordinators, your workers. Then we can review the performance using customer or client. Customer or client. The most important approach is self. You can evaluate your performance. You can evaluate your performance. And the last one, combination. Combination mean the second one is combination. Immediate superior plus his or her immediate boss. Likewise, we can evaluate employee performance. Firstly, self. Secondly, peers. Thirdly, immediate superior. Firstly, self. Secondly, immediate superior. Thirdly, his or her immediate superior. Likewise, combination. Then when we are concerning the person who is going to evaluate employee performance, important thing is self. Self is important because as a worker, he or she knows his or her real level of the contribution. For the example, you are the only one person know about yourself. Therefore, you are the best person to evaluate yourself. The thing is, at the workplace, when we are asking evaluate the performance of the employee using self approach, all workers say, I am an excellent worker. I am an excellent worker. Poor workers say, I am excellent. Excellent workers say, I am excellent. Therefore, it is very difficult to determine the reward or bonus or promotion or demotion considering the considering only self-evaluation. Then next one, then peer evaluation. In our context, when I ask to evaluate your performance from your friends, what will be happen? Then the friend, if friend is good, then the friend explain real profile about you. But if your friend is not good, what will be happen? That is another question. Okay, then third policy explain who should do PE evaluation. The fourth policy, the policy number 4. How often should PE be done? How often? Frequency. Then we can do the performance evaluation in different periods. For example, annually we can do the performance evaluation, or semi-annually we can do the performance evaluation. Then we can monthly evaluate the employee performance. We can evaluate the performance of employee weekly. The thing is, how often? When we determine the duration, we have to consider the capacity of the HR department, capacity of the superior or the evaluator, and capacity of the financial situation, financial ability of the company. Then most frequently, the company adopts annual performance evaluation. Annual performance evaluation. When we are evaluating weekly, monthly, then what will be happen if there are more employees? We assume 8,000 employees. Then when company evaluate monthly 8,000 employee, then there is a very huge workload, especially for the supervisors as well as in the HR section. Therefore, we have to consider how often should PE be done. Then next one, criteria of performance evaluation. What is the meaning of criteria? What is the meaning of criteria? Criteria mean dimension of employee performance. Dimension of employee performance. Then when we are going to evaluate something, we need to use several criteria. For the example, when we are going to buy a shirt, then we use several criteria to assess the shirt. For the example, material, price, brand name, size, design. Then what are the criteria? Design, material, price, brand, color, size. Those are the criteria. Likewise, when we are going to evaluate employee performance, we have to use several dimensions, indicators, criteria. Then there are different criteria that can be used to evaluate employee performance. It depends on the nature of job and the organization. It depends on the nature of the job and the organization. For the example, we assume we are going to evaluate the employee like scientist. Then scientist's nature is different than when we are going to evaluate the person like army, soldier. Then different nature of job and different nature of organization. Then common criteria for performance evaluations are trait, behavior, results. Then when we are going to evaluate employee performance, usually we measure the trait of the employee, behavior of the employee, as well as results of the employee. Then traits. Traits mean particular qualities, characteristics of employee. What are the qualities? For the example, job knowledge, cooperation, trust, loyalty. Those are the qualities. For the example, when I am going to assess the food science student behavior, food science student performance, then I measure your subject knowledge, your leadership quality, your cooperation ability, your loyalty. Those are the traits you are presenting. Then we can use these traits as a criterion to measure the performance. Then second one, behavior. The behavior means the way of employee acts in the job. For the example, punctuality, attendance, planning the work, organizing the work, how to lead the workers, how to lead the project. Those are the behavior. Then I can use your behavior to measure your performance, how you are behaving in the classroom. Are you always late comer? What is your punctuality? Whether you are attending to the lectures, likewise, behavior. Then third one, results, output, outcome of the employee, number of units, selling, number of unit produced, number of hours completed, number of patients recovered. Those are the results, visibility. Then using trait, behavior, results, we can measure the employee performance. In addition to trait, behavior, results, that is one way of categorizing the criteria. Then traits, behavior, results can be again reviewed using another two approach. That is subjective criteria and objective criteria. The subjective criteria mean qualitative criteria, difficult to measure. Qualitative criteria, difficult to measure. based on human judgment. Always the evaluation based on human judgment. Example, loyalty. Then A say your loyalty is high, but I can say your loyalty is low. That is based on human judgment. Trust, the same way. Cooperation, job knowledge, subject knowledge. Those are subjectively evaluated. Therefore, two people evaluate the single criterion in different manner. Subjective criteria. Then objective criteria, this is easy. Why? It is quantitative criteria. Easy to measure. For the example, number of unit, number of attaining to the lectures, days attaining to the lectures, number of defects. Those are measurable, countable. Very clearly we can say 10 days you attend the lectures, 10 hours you cover. Likewise, it is easy to measure. Those are the objective criteria. When we are concerning trade behavior results, trade usually subjective oriented. For example, job knowledge, subjective, human judgment. Then behavior, punctuality, planning the work. Sometimes behavioral criteria can be assessed through subjective as well as objective manner. For the example, attendance, number of days, number of hours, objective manner. Then results. Results, very clearly, results are objective. Results are objective. Then subjective, objective, subjective plus objective. Okay.
Accountable. Performance management includes activities which ensure that goals are consistently being met in an effective and efficient manner. Performance criteria vary from job to job, but common employee performance measures include the following: quantity of output, quality of output, timeliness of output, presence and attendance on the job, efficiency of work completed, and effectiveness of work completed. Specific job duties from a job description should identify the important elements of a given job. Trait-based information identifies a character trait of an employee, such as attitude, initiative, or creativity that may or may not be job-related. For example, conscientiousness is often found to be a trait that's an important determinant of job performance. Behavior-based information focuses on specific behaviors that lead to job success. Behavioral information can specify the behaviors management expects employees to exhibit. A potential problem arises when any of several behaviors can lead to successful performance, and employees rely on different behaviors to complete work. Results-based information considers employee accomplishments. For jobs in which measurement is easy and obvious, the results-based approach works well. Performance measures can be viewed as objective or subjective. The objective measures can be observed. For example, the number of dinner specials sold or the number of tables served can be counted, which makes them objective performance metrics. Subjective measures require judgment on the part of the evaluator and are more difficult to determine. Subjective measures should be used carefully and only when adequate support and/or documentation can be presented to support such evaluations.
Okay. Then errors of performance evaluation. when we are evaluating employee performance, it is very difficult to evaluate the employee performance correctly based on the different personality, different behavior of the evaluator. They doing with different errors. Here I try to explain several errors relating to performance evaluation. First one, halo effect. Halo effect means all criteria of job performance are evaluated based on single good quality of employee. Single good quality. Single good quality. For the example, your punctuality is good. Therefore, based on punctuality, I assess your leadership is good, your communication skill good, your teamwork also good, your trust is also good, everything good because of the punctuality. That is a error. The error is called halo effect. Then there is another error, horn effect. The horn effect means based on single bad quality, single bad quality. Then your dress is not well. Then based on your dirty dress, I evaluate your leadership not good, your communication not good, your trust also remain very low level, your cooperation not good, everything not good based on single bad quality, poor quality. That is called, that is also error, it is called on effect. Then here the second one, central tendency. Central tendency means trend to evaluate all criteria using average values. Average value, for the example, then this is the scale. Then here 0 marks, here 100 marks. Then you evaluate all employee performance averagely near to 50. Then there is no issues coming from different employee. Then you are putting middle, central, middle tendency. Trend to evaluate all criteria using average value. For the example, end of the semester, then your exam, HRM. Your HRM results are average. 45, 50, 55, 60. This is the range. All students get those results from that range. That is the central tendency. The opposite idea about central tendency. One is harshness. Harshness. Harshness means tend to evaluate all criteria using hard manner. For the example, there is a lecturer, he is giving very low marks, always giving here below the average, the maximum, the top student obtain 55. That is the top. Others are below the 55. Likewise, harshness error. Then next one is leniency. Leniency. Sometimes you have experience regarding some lecturers. The lecturer evaluation is very lenient manner. All have more than 75 marks. All criteria are evaluated using lenient manner. More grade, more marks. Then next one is recency effect. It means when we are evaluating employee performance, consider recent incidents than the incidents happened during the entire period. For example, we assume the evaluation period is 1st January to 31st December. When you are evaluating employee performance, December 31st, you are consider the incident happened in the recent duration, recent period. Whether it is good or bad, considering the good or bad, then you are evaluating employee performance. Ignoring the incidents happened that in the first first or second quarter of the year, then you ignore those are ignore. That is an error. Recency effect.
When people make hiring decisions, certain biases can creep into the process. The same is true when it comes to the performance management process. Let's take a look at performance evaluation errors. Bias is a disproportionate weight in favor or against one thing, person, or group compared with another, usually in a way considered to be unfair. A manager commits the halo error when his overall positive view of an employee's performance biases the rating he gives the person on individual criteria that make up his or her performance. In contrast, a manager commits the horn error when his overall negative view of an employee biases his ratings such that the individual receives lower ratings on specific performance dimensions than he or she really merits. The contrast effect occurs when a manager artificially inflates or deflates an employee's rating after comparing the person to another individual. The primacy error reflects situations in which a rater's earlier impressions of an individual's bias his or her evaluations of the person. In contrast, a recency error reflects situations in which a rater narrowly focuses on an employee's performance that occurs near the time of the evaluation. Similar to me errors occur when managers more highly rate employees who resemble them in some way. Some raters may also commit restriction of range or distribution errors. Raters often must evaluate individual performance along some scale. For example, raters may be asked to assess the extent to which individual employees are poor, average, or outstanding. Sometimes raters have a tendency to commit leniency, strictness, or central tendency errors. Raters commit the leniency error when they constantly rate employees on a higher end of the scale, that is, rating everyone on a 4 or 5 of a 5-point scale. In contrast, they commit the strictness error when they constantly rate employees on the low end of the scale, such as rating someone a 1 or 2 on a 5-point scale. When raters evaluate everyone as average, regardless of their actual performance level, they commit the error of central tendency, which reflects the unwillingness of raters to rate individuals as very high or very low. There are several steps companies can take to reduce the chances that these biases will occur. One approach is to incorporate more specificity into rating formats. Defining more precisely what is being evaluated helps raters focus more on the relevant performance dimensions.
Okay, then usually in the company when evaluating employee performance, they use a performance evaluation form. In addition to form, there are instructions, procedures. Then here I explain 4 examples regarding performance evaluation. Then first example of the performance evaluation is very simple. Then here say employee name, department, date, reviewer, period of reviewer, reviewer's title. Then there are scale, excellent, good, fair, poor. Then these are the criteria: honesty, productivity, work quality, technical skill, work consistency, enthusiasm, cooperation, attitude, initiative, work in relations, creativity, punctuality, attendance, dependability, communication skill. Then considering the work behavior, work activities, then we can say honesty, excellent or good or fair or poor. Then finally, there is a space to give the comment. Then employee signature, reviewer signature. Then after the evaluation of the employee performance, then reviewer has to show or tell the review employee performance, then get the employee signature telling I am agree to this evaluation. This is the one performance evaluation form. The second example. This is also simple, but it is complex than the first one. Name of the employee, department, section, date of appointment, date of assessment, date of last assessment, name, designation of supervisor or evaluator. Then there is a grading method, poor, need improvement, likewise grading scale. Then insert rating on the space provided. Then the evaluator has to put the 5 or 4 or 3 or 1 in here. Workers' work quality. Then these are the criteria: work quality, decision making ability, attendance, job knowledge, involvement of work, employee discipline, overall employee performance, and then employee strength. What are the employee strengths? Area that need to improve, employee observation. Supervisor's recommendation. I recommended promotion or increment, yes or no. I recommended promotion or no. They depend on the evaluator. Then superior signature, employee signature, date of supervisor and the employee. Then this is the second example. Then third example, it is complex than the second one. Employee evaluation form. Then this is the directions, instruction, how to fill this performance evaluation form. Then this evaluation was completed by who? By myself, my supervisor, direct report, or other. Then here give the space and ask several questions. What are my greatest strengths? Please provide supportive example. Then I have to take a pen or pencil, then I have to write. When my supervisor is evaluating my performance, then supervisor take pen or pencil, then write about myself. Then what are the area where I need to make improvement? Likewise, there are several questions and spaces. Then evaluator use the space to evaluate the worker. Then second part, evaluation of core competencies. Then there is another scale. Exceed expectations, acceptable, need improvement, unknown, not observed. Then these are again criteria. Personal commitment, what is the rank? Initiative, rank. Customer service orientation, rank. decision making, problem solving. These are the human relation skill. Then here we have to put the value. Then there are many instruction and information in this evaluation form. The last one is a state university use performance evaluation system to evaluate employee. The method is self-evaluation. Self-evaluation. Worker is the evaluator. Then here say the small instruction. What were your most significant work-related accomplishment? Include project, assignment, new skills or knowledge gain. Then the space can be used to elaborate my work-related accomplishment, significant work-related accomplishment. Then how do these accomplishments relate to your key responsibilities and goal for you and your unit or department? Then space provided. Then using space, I have to explain. Likewise, there are several questions asked to cover the entire performance of the worker to evaluation purpose. Okay,